People who dream big tend not to get distracted by small adversity, because when the dream is bigger than the adversity doesn't get them as much and or at all, because they're thinking big picture. Today, what I want to talk to you about is how to identify the people that you should invest in. How to identify and spot a potential leader in your organization. How do we identify them? How do we spot them? If you're going to invest time, energy, effort, capital into someone's development, I'm sure nobody wants to waste time and or resources. And so if we could create a list of things that we're looking for, it does make it a lot easier to identify the type of people you should go all in with, and maybe the type of people you should let the environment and or the culture of your business develop and or help evolve. And so as I'm going over this list, I got 15 points and I got a bonus. And that bonus that I have for you is, in my opinion, the most important. And once again, I'm going to discuss that at the end. But as I'm going through this list, if you are maybe the type of person that's looking for mentorship, looking for coaching, seeking to get better, and you're looking for somebody to help you, and maybe you don't fit all 15 plus the bonus of these characteristics, that doesn't mean you're a failure. That doesn't mean that you can't win. It just means that maybe we need to shift some things about ourselves moving forward to be the type of person that somebody would want to invest in. At any point, you can decide to be a new person today. You could decide to leave the old you behind, step into a new version of you today. So at any point in time, you could stop being the old you and decide to be the new you. So if any of these points don't relate to you, that's okay. Just decide moving forward that you're going to be different. Decide moving forward that you are going to shift. Leaders, as I go over this list, understand that people can change. So see, even though in the past they might not have had these qualities, they can step into these qualities. So not only do we need to be looking for the person that maybe already fits the criteria, we also have to be actively looking for the people who are making changes to fit the criteria, because this also could be a future leader in your organization. So let's talk about it. What are the 15 plus bonus points that I look for when it comes to identifying and spotting a leader? The first thing that I look for is, are they well groomed and are they sharp? I know it's kind of like judging a book by its cover, but at the end of the day, it's very important. People make an unconscious decision about you the moment they see you. So I'm paying attention to how well groomed is this person? Are they sharp? Because if they don't even take care of themselves, what's the likelihood that they're going to take care of their team? If they don't take care of themselves, what's the likelihood that they're going to take care of their clients? So I'm looking for people who pay attention to themselves. It's really, really important. Why is well-groomed being so important? Because it means that they have attention to detail. If they're paying attention to the way their beard is groomed, or the way their hair is cut, or the way their makeup is done, or the clothes that they have on their body, all of these things identify and point to attention to detail and or potentially not having it. And so it's very, very important that if you're going to invest time into somebody, that they are sharp and well-groomed. And from an influential perspective, people want to be led by somebody who's sharp and well-groomed, and people don't want to be led by somebody that they don't strive to be like. And so when somebody's lacking that aspect of things, people have a hard time listening to them, and it could actually affect their influence because they don't come across as the type of person that people want to be liked. So it's very, very important to make sure that you are sharp, that you are well-groomed. And I know I'm just in a polo and a hat, but hopefully I look halfway decent, even though I don't have a suit on, to the point that you would actually, think about listening to what I have to say. The second point that I look for is, do they have a presence? Do they have a presence? When they enter a room, do people notice? Do people notice when they're in the room? Do people notice when they walk into the room? Do people listen to what they have to say, regardless of how maybe long they've been in the business? I'm so fortunate. I feel so blessed. My older brother, my big brother and best friend, actually just joined me in business and came into business with me. And we were having a conversation the other day. I said, dude, you've been in business now for like 2 to 3 months. And people that have been in our space for 5, 10, 15 years are listening to what you have to say. I said, they're not listening to what you have to say because of me. They're listening to what you have to say because you have a presence to you, because you bring value, and because when you speak, people want to listen. What does that mean? It means that you are influential. It means that you have a presence. It means that people think that you have enough value that they want to care and listen to what you have to say, even though you might have only been in the business for a month or two. I explain that to you because there's other people that have that characteristic as well, where when they speak, people listen regardless of how long they maybe been in business or how long they maybe been in the industry. People care what they have to say because they're an influential person. Number 3, I look for people who have won before. I look for people who have won before. So oftentimes when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'll ask them, hey, just curious, what have you been incredible at before? What have you won at before? And maybe it was dance. Maybe they were an incredible artist. Maybe they were an amazing athlete. Maybe they were a straight A student. I try to find someone who has won before. Why? Because the recipe, the mental recipe for winning is the same at anything you do. What it takes to be a straight A student is the same mentality that it takes to win in sports. And the mentality that it takes to win in sports is the same mentality that it takes to win in business. It all is the same. There's a mental winning recipe. And if you can find somebody who's already cracked that code of that mental winning recipe, and now all of a sudden they just have to apply that mental recipe here, there's a greater chance that they're going to go on to win. Number 4, they can communicate effectively. They communicate effectively. Why is that so important? Because I can have a level 10 knowledge, but if I'm a level 3 communicator, my level 10 knowledge will appear as a level 3. I can have a level 10 quote unquote skill set, but if I'm a level 3 communicator, my level 10 skill set will appear as a level 3. So I'm looking for an effective communicator. When people speak, are they clear? Do people understand? Is there conviction and confidence behind what it is that they're saying? Very important. Next one, number 5. They are eager to learn and grow. They are eager to learn and grow. They're trying to improve. They're trying to get better. They're seeking out knowledge. They're seeking out mentorship. They are seeking out skills. They are just doing anything that they possibly can to get better day in and day out. The reason I love this is because if they're striving to get better, that means they're a growth-oriented person. There's something called the 6 human needs. One of their 6 human needs is growth. That's a really big deal because that means that the person you're going to be dealing with this week is going to be better than the person that they were last week. The person you're dealing with next week is going to be better than the person you dealt with this week. I'm looking for people that almost have an anxiety around not growing, where they feel like they're behind every day that they're not putting in work, every day that they're not improving, every day they're not getting better. I look for those type of people. Number 6, I look for people who are resourceful. There's not a lack of resources. There's a lack of resourcefulness. I want the person that takes initiative when it comes to finding what they need. I'm not looking for the yes ma'am. I'm not looking for the yes man. If you have to come to me for every last thing, that means you're not taking initiative, and it also means you're lacking the resourcefulness to go find everything that you need. I want people who take initiative. I want people who go find the information. I do not want to necessarily work with somebody that needs to be spoon-fed each and every single day. Number 7, they have positive energy. They have positive energy, meaning that they're just a positive person to be around. We all have those people in our lives where they just seem negative all the time. They seem mean all the time. They always seem like something's going on. I texted one of our agents today. I said, hey, did your goldfish drown? Because you were on today's call and there was not a single part of you that radiated positive energy. Leaders radiate positive energy. And so I'm always looking for people who are just naturally positive. They're optimistic. So LIMRA did a study, and what LIMRA is a life insurance marketing association. And what they do is they pay attention to everything that goes on in the life insurance field. And so obviously life insurance is a sales industry, right? Life insurance is a sales industry. And so when LIMRA did a study of what separated the top 1% of agents to the other 99% of agents in the industry, what they came up with is that the top 1% of agents had this belief that tomorrow would be better than today. They had this positive outlook on life where tomorrow was going to be better than today. Where even though I may not be where I want to be today, tomorrow was going to be better. The better days were ahead. And it was that optimism that things were going to be better moving forward. It was that positivity that things were going to be better moving forward that led to them staying in the game, staying in the hunt, and staying in business. So as a leader, I'm always looking for that. Do they have that optimistic side of them? Are they positive? Do they radiate positive energy? Do they find solutions to problems, or do they bring a problem to every solution? I'm looking for the person that radiates positivity. So important. Number 8, they want to show up. I look for people who want to show up. If I have to convince you to show up, you're not the type of person that I want to do business with. If I have to convince you to show up to practice, you're not the type of person that I want on my team. I want players that want to show up. I want players that want to be at practice. I want players that want to be in the meetings. I want players that are hungry to be there, not players that I have to try to convince to show up and convince to be there. Number 9, they have big dreams, big goals, and big aspirations. The reason I want to work with big dreamers is because big dreamers tend to put in big work. Little dreamers tend to put in little work because they don't have a big dream. So it's easy for them to get comfortable. It's easy for them to let off the gas. It's easy for them to not do what they need to do and let themselves off the hook. But when people are thinking big, they have big goals, big dreams, big aspirations, they're striving for a big life, they are typically willing to put in big work. But what also happens is people who dream big tend not to get distracted by small adversity, because when the dream is bigger than the adversity doesn't get them as much and or at all, because they're thinking big picture. People who are always thinking about the problem, they're missing the dream. But people who are thinking about the big dream, they overshoot the problem. And so what happens is the problem doesn't get them mentally, the problem doesn't get them emotionally, and it allows them to stay on track. Number 10, they are confident. They just have this confidence about them where they trust themselves. They trust themselves. Self-trust comes from making promises and keeping promises. So when you see somebody who's extremely confident, most confident people have a reputation with themselves, a relationship with themselves, that they do what they say they're going to do. Why is that so important when it comes to identifying a leader? I want to work with people that know how to lead themselves. People who know how to lead themselves tend to be very confident. Confident people is what I'm looking for. So I'm always looking for a confident person, because that typically means that they know how to get themselves to do what they need to do. And it also typically means that when they give their word, they keep it. Number 11, they have credibility and influence with their friends and family. The reason that's so important is because if your family doesn't trust you and your friends don't trust you, it makes me wonder if I should trust you. So I pay attention to that. If your friends and family look up to you, or your friends and family listen to what you have to say, care about what you have to say, if you have influence over what they do and why they should do it, then that means that you're a trustworthy person. And it also means that I can trust you. But if your own family doesn't trust you, it makes me wonder if I should trust you. Number 12, they handle problems and adversity very well. One thing that I'm known for saying in our organization is that I don't know if someone's real until they deal with adversity. Mike Tyson always had a saying, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, meaning that everything's good when everything's good. But how do you respond when everything goes wrong? The true character of an individual is not established when things are great. The true character of an individual is revealed when everything goes wrong. I look for people with strong character. I look for people that handle problems and adversity very, very well. Very well. It's something that's so important to me, because if you're going to be in business with me the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you can't get sidetracked by little adversities that pop up. You have to be the type of person that could face adversity, win through adversity, and come out on the other side. But if a small adversity puts you out of business, or a big adversity distracts you for the next 3 months, you're going to be a very difficult person for me to work with, because the adversity is always getting the best of you versus you getting the best of the adversity. 13, their spouse is encouraging and uplifting. In business, one thing that I've realized over the years is that nothing kills a person's ambition. Nothing kills a person's dreams. Nothing kills a person's goals more than a negative spouse. Nothing. And so I'm always paying attention to, is the spouse encouraging? Is the spouse uplifting? Is the spouse pushing them to become better? Or is the spouse tearing them down? Because if the spouse is tearing them down, it doesn't matter what I say to them on a daily basis. If the number one person they're talking to every single day, the person that they're sleeping next to every night, if that person's not believing in them, that person's doubting them, that person's speaking negativity into them, that person's, cutting them at the ankles, that person is most likely not going to win and not going to succeed. But what it also tells me is that they're probably not the person that's earned the trust of their spouse, meaning that they said they were going to do a lot of things and never did it. They made a lot of promises and never followed through. So when I see someone whose spouse doesn't even trust them, it makes me wonder once again, should I trust them in business? Because their own spouse doesn't even believe in them. Their own spouse doesn't even trust in them. And so there's something that's led to that, whether it's in business or out of business. If the spouse is not believing in them, there's probably a reason why. So I become very skeptical in those moments. Number 14, they're competitive and they want to win. Let me say that one more time. They are competitive and they want to win. I love working with competitive people. I love working with competitive people because they hate losing even more than they like to win. It's just the thought of losing that gets their butt burning. And I want that. I love that People who are competitive tend to put in longer hours. People who are competitive tend to override any adversity that they're going through because the competition overrides the adversity. The competition overrides the problem. The competition is what gets them through the hard times. I love competitive people. Competition brings the best out of people. Competition triggers energy that you didn't even know you had. Competition brings the best out of people. It drives performance. You know, when Usain Bolt broke the world record, second and third place broke the previous world record. Why? Because it was the competition that brought the absolute best out of each other. So I'm always looking, do they have that competitive side to them? I don't want combativeness, but I do want competitiveness where they hate losing and they're willing to work as many hours, make as many phone calls, do as many appointments as they possibly can in order to get the W and in order to win. Number 15, they have integrity. So important, so important. If I can't trust you to do the right thing, even when nobody's watching, if I can't trust you to do the right thing when I'm not there, then I do not want to be in business with you and I don't want to be in life with you. Integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. Integrity is giving your word and following through. Integrity is making a commitment and keeping it. That's what integrity is. And so if I'm going to be in life with you and I want to do business with you, I need to be able to trust your integrity. I got to be able to trust your character. I got to trust that you're going to do the right thing. Because if I can't trust that side of you, then you might stab me in the back later on down the road, and or you might not do something that's in the best interest of somebody, and it can tarnish our environment, it can tarnish our business, and it can actually put the company at risk. So that I'm always looking for how strong is their integrity. Do they do the right thing even when they're trying to win? Do they do the right thing even when they're trying to hit a promotion? Do they do the right thing even when they're trying to hit an income milestone? Do the right thing even when their back is up against the wall and there's fires going on around them? Do they always do the right thing? I'm always paying attention to it. That is number 15. And last but not least, the bonus. Hopefully you're ready for the bonus. Here's the bonus. I have to like them and I have to want to do life with them. So important. When I invest into people, I'm not investing into them for 3 months or 4. I plan on investing into them for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, God willing. I plan on investing into them for a very, very long time. And I plan on doing business with them for a very long time. So if I'm going to spend the next 10, 20, 30 years with you, I need to like you. And I don't just need to like you. My wife also needs to like your wife or like your spouse. That's also important to me. It's not just do I like you. It's does my spouse like you? Does my wife like your wife? Does my spouse like your spouse? So important. Because once again, if we're going to do business together, that means that we're going to do life together. I don't do short-term business. I do long-term relationships. And so if I'm going to spend all this time, all this energy, all this effort, all this capital into your development, I need to like having you around. I need to like having you in my life. I need to be able to trust my kids around you. My wife needs to like your wife. My spouse needs to like your spouse. These things are so important to me. And it's actually probably the number one thing that I look for because once again, I'm going to invest so much time and energy. I got to enjoy being with you when I am with you, or else I'm not going to have fun doing it. And neither will you. And so I look for those relationships that come together really easily because they're great people. I would like to think me and my wife are great people. And so together, we're able to build an incredible life together, which is super exciting. So with that being said, those are the 15 plus bonus that I look for when it comes to identifying a leader, spotting a leader, and if I'm going to invest tons of time and energy and resources into their development. And so hopefully this has helped. Hopefully you got a lot out of today's message. And all I ask, because we put out all this information complimentary, is that if you get something from today's episode or today's message, just tell a friend, subscribe, like. If you have not subscribed, just go click the button, subscribe, because it does help our channel. I pay to have this channel, and I honestly only do it because of the feedback that I've gotten from the great listeners that tune in every single week. So all we ask is that if we're going to put out this information, tell a friend about it. So with that being said, God bless you guys, love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week.